Hi, and welcome to the Bold Leadership Story Show, where we talk about experiences shaping exceptional lives. And today I have the distinct pleasure of chatting with Kim Gerrish. Kim is a Temecula, she's been here for quite a while. She was born and raised in San Diego, so a local gal.
Mhm.
And you went to San Diego State University, got a degree in marketing and communications, moved to Temecula in 2000. Gosh, so you're almost a native.
I know, it flies by. You just don't,
It goes so
those,
fast.
you write those things down and you're like, really?
Yeah, what?
Time.
Yeah. And let's see, you moved here in 2000 and you raised your three daughters here. That's what we did too. We were from Orange County. We moved here.
Yeah.
So much better here. You became the first employee of Michelle's Place 19 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're currently serving as the executive director. And you're most proud of leading a dynamic team of passionate women at Michelle's Place. And love to hear more about that today.
Great. I'd love to talk about it.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's see. Michelle's Place currently serves 2,100 cancer patients a year.
Mhm.
And you've recently moved into a 10,000 square foot facility, offering 23 different programs 50 times a month.
Yeah.
I was looking at your schedule online. Wow. There's a lot
Busy.
going on.
Yeah, a lot going on.
You're also on the board of Association of Fundraising Professionals
Mhm.
and on the governing board of Temecula Valley Hospital. And you happen to squeeze in being the president of the Rotary Club here in Temecula. And you've got probably over 500 members in there?
No, we're not that big.
Not
We're just
that big?
we're just over 100 members, but
Okay, well, still, that's very big.
sometimes it feels like 500.
It could get there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, great. Welcome to Bold Leadership Story Show. And let's see, I'll start out with just a quick question. What's happening in Kim's life right now?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'll say, before we went on, Rotary is a big part of what's happening in Kim's life these days. It's a big job. I love volunteering and service, and I've been in Rotary for over 20 years, and I have dodged the leadership bullet for several years, just knowing what that takes. And I think
Right.
for a lot of leaders, and people in our roles of leadership tend to overcommit or commit to a lot of different things because they are passionate, and busy people get a lot more done.
Sure.
So
Want something done, you
give it to a busy person.
yeah, absolutely.
And I've been like that for as long as I can remember, just between kids' activities and being the team mom and the coach and the PTA and all those
How old
things.
are your kids now?
Oh my gosh. I have a 27-year-old as of tomorrow.
Wow.
That's my oldest. Yeah. She's 27 and 20. I have a 23-year-old and a 21-year-old.
Okay. Yeah, mine are all grown too.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
They're got one granddaughter now, so that's fine.
Oh, okay, this is what I want. This is what I want.
Thank you. Yeah.
I wish that's what we were talking about. My oldest just got married in August, and I can't even wait to have the grandbaby. So
congratulations.
Yeah, so it's all good. They're great adults. I love hanging out with them. We're very close.
Yeah.
So it's a good time. But back to Rotary, it's one of those things I just didn't want to commit to until I knew that I could give 100% of what I want to give, because there's nothing worse, I think, also for a busy person in leadership, to not achieve the goals that they set, to not do what they say. And that's important to me too. And Michelle's Place is a big job. It's a huge commitment, and I'm extremely passionate about it. I love working here. I love, being here. Many of us, most of us staff, participate in the extracurricular stuff too, right? You want to go to the classes, you want to see who the clients are, you want to be part of the culture of the organization. You don't clock in and clock out. It's very much a eat, live, sleep kind of a job, and it has been
love.
Yeah, for 19 years, almost 20 years. So the Rotary leadership thing was scary because I knew that was going to take a bite out of my time at Michelle's Place, but also a challenge because what I love about Rotary is the opportunity to volunteer in multiple capacities. It could be an international project. It could be a senior project. It can be kids. I mean, it's all over, right? And so that's what I loved about Rotary too. I love being around like-minded people. I love doing different projects besides just our cancer stuff. So I'm excited to do that, but it's a big job. I'm halfway through the year and we've done some cool things in Rotary as president. And so it's been fabulous, but Michelle's Place is also really busy. This is our first full year of being in our 10,000 square foot space.
Mhm.
So it's a whole new world for us too. We're able to utilize all 10,000 square feet, which means we can have multiple classes and programs and support groups happening at the exact same time. So I love that because we're not limited by space anymore. We're really not limited by anything except financial capacity, of course. But
So can I show something on my screen?
yeah.
I want to show this just because I think it's interesting. This is your website, Michelle's Place website.
Yeah, that's our art
And this
room.
is the calendar section. So it comes up in, most companies, I look at their calendar sections and it might have one or two things going on. You guys are packed. And it's not just, this is February,
right?
March, packed, April, packed. I mean, it just keeps going on and on. So,
Right.
I mean, you guys are so well set up to help people work through their any issues with cancer, really. Can we back up a second? I'd love to have you share your perspective on Michelle's Place. You were the very first employee there. You've grown the company, grown with the company, it's a 501c3, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Nonprofit. So, and I'd like to see where you are with it. I mean, you've been there the longest of anybody.
Yep.
And now you're managing the helm, and it's a vibrant organization, obviously. So, what do you attribute all that to?
Our community, for sure.
Okay.
Definitely community driven. When I came on board to Michelle's Place, and I could tell you that quick story of how I got involved.
Yeah, I love stories.
So remember way back when you used to answer employment ads from the newspaper?
Yeah. Yep. I've done that. In fact, I'm still doing that. Does that not work anymore?
So that's what happened is Michelle's Place. And Michelle's Place, was born through in the legacy in the name of Michelle Watson, who was diagnosed with 4th stage breast cancer when she was 23.
Oh, wow.
And not hereditary, just one of those unfortunate things that happens, and very athletic, vegetarian, no family history, a lump in her breast that the doctors told her 3 different times, it's probably nothing, don't worry about it, never got tested. So she was diagnosed with 4th stage breast cancer at the age of 23. And
you must have been around that same age at this point.
Yeah. We're a couple years difference in age, but I didn't know her. I didn't come along until she had passed. They opened to the first Michelle's Place 7 months after she passed away, and in 2001. And the family, when someone passes away, everyone's very passionate and they all want to help and everyone jumps in, and, family, friends and neighbors, and, everybody wants to be part of it and help in any way they can. And then slowly, right, the passion kind of wanes and people get back to their lives.
Right.
And that's kind of what was happening to Michelle's Place. They had opened here in Temecula in a tiny office that they shared with the church, someone on the other end of a phone line saying, how can I help you? It was a breast cancer resource center at the time. So they served only breast. And Bill and Marilyn, Michelle's parents, both worked full time. She was a teacher. He's an engineer. And so it was really just whoever could show up would be there. And so they had a family friend who was a consultant, and he said, you guys really need some structure. You need some structure. You need somebody at the helm. You need marketing. You need outreach. People need to know what Michelle's Place is, and there is such a thing. You need to hire someone. And so they've got a small family foundation grant to hire someone part-time, 20 hours a week, basically getting paid minimum wage. And at the time I was newly in Temecula. I had 3 little tiny kids and I was doing some marketing on the side. I was working for a publishing company in San Diego and the Wine Growers Association out here in Temecula. And so this sounded perfect. It's a part-time job, 20 hours a week, no big deal. So I applied, ad in the newspaper. As the story goes, the consultant, his name was Dale, had all these questions. This interview process was insane. I mean, writing samples and questions and just really extensive for what this job was, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, whatever. I'm gonna apply. So I go to the interview on a Saturday night at 7 p.m. The board is sitting in this little office. Now they have a little office, 600 square feet. Jeff Stone, who at the time, I think he was the supervisor at the time. He had been on city council and well known, of course. He owned a pharmacy over here in Marietta, and so he gave them a little space behind his pharmacy. So we're all sitting in there and I'm dressed in a suit. I've got all my writing samples on the table. I'm answering all the questions that Dale had already preloaded before I got there. Everyone is quiet. No one has said a word the entire interview. And of course I'm thinking to myself, I'm nailing this. Like if they don't hire, who would they hire? Like I'm so overqualified.
Who's going to put up with all
for
that
this job.
for minimum wage?
And Dale says, yeah. So Dale asks the board, who's mostly family at this point, if they have any questions for me. Nobody says anything. Nobody has ever started a nonprofit. They have no idea how to hire someone. They don't even know, I think, what they were hiring, to be honest. So nobody had anything to say. It was sitting right directly in front of me were Bill and Marilyn Watson, Michelle's parents. And Marilyn just starts telling me the story of their daughter and what she went through in her cancer process. And she just starts sobbing as she's telling me about Michelle. And Michelle's only been gone 2 years at this point. And it hits me literally like a ton of bricks, Jim. This is not a job that I'm interviewing for. This is the legacy of their daughter. And if this doesn't get done right, it will die. It will go away. And so, of course, I immediately start crying and begging for the job. I literally am blubbering, begging for the job. This is my job. I'm the one to do this job, the whole thing. To the point where I leave the interview and I'm on the phone with my husband going, well, I just blew that interview. I'm a complete idiot. They think I'm a blubbering idiot, but I'm going to work there for free because this is my job. I'm the one for this job. I'm the one who could do this job. I have to work there. And so he's like, so wait a minute, you're going to get paid minimum wage and now you're just going to work there for free. Yeah, this is so anyway, of course, they did end up hiring me in the end there, and they only advertised 20 hours a week because that's all they could afford. So I've never worked 20 hours a week in Michelle's place. But once you're part of that family and those, I mean, it's incredibly, it's a loving, they're an amazing family and group of people, and what they've created and the vision of Michelle is so powerful that you just want to be part of it. You really do. And you want to work really hard and you want them to be proud of you. You want to serve the people who need to be served. And the first, I have story after story of just helping clients and getting that, feeding me. And because, being executive director isn't really that fun, and you don't get a lot of client direct service, good feel goods anymore. So every once in a while, I always say this I have a picture of her that I always have in front of my desk because I used to talk to her a lot more than I do now, but it was more of like, what am I supposed to be doing? I don't even know what I'm doing here. So I better just send me some direction because I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And sure enough, she'd put someone in my path, and, cancer patient who just needed someone to talk to, or just, really change their life by us being here. And it then refocuses you, and you realize exactly what you're supposed to be doing and where you're supposed to be going, and that you're in the right spot at the right time. So that's how I got to Michelle's place. And that is how I keep coming here every day.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. And I hear about Michelle's place a lot. It's just different places it comes into my life. I've had, unfortunately, people in my life who have been affected by cancer in the area. So
yeah,
it's
unfortunately everybody's been impacted in some way or capacity by cancer, and that's the unfortunate part, but the reality of it.
Yep, it sure is. So what's your right now? Thank you for sharing that story. That was a great insight into who you are and kind of what making you tick, and being at the helm is not an easy thing to do, and to
No.
stay, focused and kind of in the moment is daunting sometimes. How do you do that? What is do you have like a daily routine you do, or how do you keep yourself as a leader tasked with the right things to do, and how do you stay refreshed besides getting inspiration from?
Yeah, the clients. That's, I don't know. I actually get that question often. I don't think I'm very good at the life work balance because it's all very blurry. Like I said before, Michelle's Place really is my life. I mean, I've raised
Okay.
my children here, they volunteer here.
Right.
It's a huge part of just who I am anyway. I'm getting better at it, I think, a little bit as I get older.
So when you say getting better at it, what do you mean? What does that look like?
It means I can take vacations now and I just walk away without my laptop or my answering my phone.
I'm learning how to turn this thing off.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like Linus with his security blanket.
Uh-huh.
Remember that when you remember seeing Peanuts, and
Yeah.
Linus, his security blanket would have to get washed.
Yeah.
He'd go through a couple hours of blah, pull his hair out, right?
Yep.
So turning everything off and walking away.
Definitely
You're able to do that. What does that do for you?
I mean, it absolutely refreshes and recharges, right? I don't think I'll ever be able to completely turn it off. It's been too long, and I just have too much invested. And although I have an incredibly capable staff here now, and they really do try hard when I'm leaving to protect me from those things, because they know it's just part of who you are, and that's okay. And I've kind of come to terms with that a little bit. I think fighting it just makes it more frustrating. So I enjoy looking at my emails. I want to communicate with people, and they can appreciate when, listen, I'm just not doing that. I can't go that far. I'm not going to be submitting grants or papers or LOIs or MOUs in this time period, but I'm happy to answer the email or make the phone call. But just limiting, right? And being more present is really what I'm working on now. 19 years later, being present when, I'm not here, being present when I'm with clients, when I'm, instead of thinking about what has to be done or what email to answer, being present in the moment, whatever that is, whether it is Michelle's Place or at home. Working really hard on that and being proactive. That's our big word here at Michelle's Place this coming year, instead of being reactive. And I think most of the population has been reactive just based on our.
So can you give me an example of that? Proactive? I like that.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Yeah. So for us, it means, like, you see the calendars, right? And planning things out and having so here's one of those things. So we really want to do a family support group. This is a goal, a dream, if you will, over the last, I'd say, 5 years for Michelle's Place, that when we had our building built, we would have a family support group where the whole family comes. An organization would make a meal for the family, so spaghetti or something, and all the families come together, they share the meal's over, mom goes to her support group, children go to their support group, dad goes to his support group. So they're all there at the same time, getting support and resources, and meeting other families who are going through a similar scenario. Because we've seen the magic of that happen when we bring the families together. Sometimes it's a Christmas event or a holiday, and the families get to see each other instead of just the mom going through cancer, right? And the kids get to see other moms that look like their moms who don't have hair, and husbands who don't typically, they're terrible actually at seeking support. It's not like they're seeking support. They're at an event with their family, and they're talking to other spouses or significant others that are going through similar things. And we've just seen the magic in the way that can happen. And so it's been a goal. And so this year we're proactively researching and trying to put something like that together, because that's a big project, right? Especially when it comes to kids, there's a lot of different factors in there. So doing something like that where before, or not so much before, but something that reactively would happen from that is, we have a facilitator who wants to do, let's say, some sort of art class or something. So we're running around trying to make that happen and get our clients to come and create a flyer after the fact. And it's just kind of a hodgepodge of let's just make this happen and force it to happen instead of creatively thinking about each step leading up to that. So who are the players? What does that look like? What could be the outcomes? What could be who could be the audience? Just proactively planning things instead of reacting to things. And we had a lot of reactionary stuff, right? We had COVID, we had to react. How are we going to take care of our clients who are facing cancer who can't come here? How are we going to give them support? How are we going to have support groups? So I think we've just always been in like, we need to fix something. We need to change this because they need it now, instead of thinking, what do they really want? Let's have a focus group. Let's do some surveys. Let's talk to our clients and find out what their needs are. And then let's create some programs around those. Let's not just react to something.
Okay.
That's what we're working on this year.
So that's a big task. That's a lot of hours and a lot of things moving that aren't actually serving.
Right.
So you're investing in the future doing that.
Yeah.
What are you seeing down the road now for this type of service in this area? And the needs are where are things going at this point?
Yeah, so sometimes you have to be reactive, right? For instance, the current cost of gas in your home. So natural gas, that more than tripled for a lot of people. And so they're in need. So financial need and transportation are just always going to be a need when it comes to cancer patients. Some of these people were dealing and facing with these obstacles prior to cancer, and cancer has just magnified that. So, trying to find solutions for them, resources for them. I mean, we know we can't be everything, but we want to make sure we're on top of what there is available out there. So, for instance, we have a community health worker, and she is able to help with application assistance. So when this came out, we just registered as a provider of filling out applications for the gas company, for the utility companies. And so she's able to help people do that to get grants to pay for their gas bills. So we're always looking for resources for financial assistance, and then transporting clients to medical appointments. Because unfortunately in our community, there is not a lot of cancer care. So a lot of our cancer patients, I would guess a good 40% of our clients go to Orange County or San Diego for cancer care. And that's a track.
What is cancer care? Is that like
treatment and surgery? Yeah, we have standard of care. We have some great physicians and oncologists in our community, but we don't have the surgical oncologists are far and few between. And for the ones that are here, they're only here maybe 1 or 2 times a week, or once a week, twice a month, because their main practices are in LA or Orange. And then if you have a rare cancer or a complicated case, you're going to somewhere like UCSD or City of Hope. You're not going to probably stay here. So transportation is a problem. Children's cancer, there's absolutely zero here. So you're definitely traveling to San Diego or Orange.
Brady's or someplace.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're wrestling with filling the gaps.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's essentially who we are. We don't, like I said, we don't always have everything, but it's good to know what's out there. We have a lot of great community partners and cancer support networks that we can connect people with, like you saw on our website, the community calendar. That's new to our website, because there's a lot of online and Zoom type support groups and blogs that you can reach out to. You don't need to be local, right? Those are things you can join from anywhere. So we want to make sure we make those connections, like the Santa Barbara Breast Center, which is where Michelle got the idea of Michelle's Place. They have a lot of great programs that we can't provide. So, and most of their stuff is on Zoom. So they're a great partner of ours, and they're all the way in Santa Barbara. So things like that we want to be able to provide as well.
Zoom's been a real nice resource.
Right.
So, yeah,
One of the
kind of
possibilities.
like not another Zoom meeting, but,
I know,
but
but it's great. It's like things like this, right? It provides opportunity as well.
yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, um, Kim, I wanted to find out too, what your thoughts were on, um, the kind of the state of cancer, and is it growing, or is it kind of leveled off?
Yeah.
And what are the different varieties you're seeing, and where do you see that what's driving that?
I don't know. I know, yes, there's more. As you know, or
So it's
maybe,
growing,
yeah, you know that we were only breast cancer resource center for 17 years.
right?
And the reason we had to expand to all cancers is really just because of the need. I mean, people started coming to us. We were an official wig bank for the American Cancer Society. So if somebody needed a wig, they would send them to Michelle's place. And so we would have people coming in with lung cancer and brain cancer and all these things. And then they'd look around going, well, wait, what is this place? And wanting to utilize our resources, always welcome to, but we were primarily breast. So after a few years of this, the board and we knew we were going to have to expand to all cancers. There's just such a huge need for it.
Yeah, I'm going to share the screen again while you're talking.
Sure. And so, slowly but surely, and we got this opportunity to potentially buy this building and expand, because we were at 3,200 square feet. We knew we couldn't serve all cancers in that space. We were already max capacity there. And so, having this opportunity over the last 4 years gave us the opportunity to expand to all cancers. And I just, we didn't know what we were going to do about that, because that's a lot of different cancers. We had no idea how many different cancers there really were. So we just did a little research on, what the top ones were, looked for some resources around those, and then realized that our model of business is not about cancer. We don't care about cancer. We care about the person who has cancer. And it's always been that way. So a lot of people just need to know that they're not alone, and they just want to tell their story. And if they need more information, we can help them find that and empower them with the education of their type of cancer, what their treatment plan possibly looks like, how to find doctors, questions to ask doctors. And that's really what our goal was. So it wasn't so much how many cancers there were, it was just really how are we going to handle the load? And that was so much bigger than we even could have imagined. So we still primarily see breast and prostate are our two biggest cancers. The amount of blood cancers are just astronomical. I had no idea how many different blood cancers there were, which is pretty significant as well. So yeah, we're seeing a lot more. Is it because we have so many more resources to offer? Is it because our population's growing? It's so hard because we don't have, like I said, this is our first full year that our center is open completely and serving all cancers. So I don't really have anything to compare it to. All I know is that every year we serve more people than we served the year prior. And we're seeing younger and later diagnosis right now. And that is what's terrifying, because
So younger, they're being diagnosed younger age at a later stage of the disease. So
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's scary. And I don't have reasons why. I mean, talking to some of the oncology offices that refer to us a lot, they're saying the same thing. And nobody really is sure why. And I don't think we'll know for a long time. There's people doing studies about it as we speak and research on it, but we're not going to know what the answer to that is for a long time. And that's what's scary too, is, I mean, literally every year it increased a little bit. This last year it increased a lot more of how many people we saw. But I have a feeling that has to do with the outreach that we're doing and the capacity we have now. It just attracts more people. We have a Fallbrook office too, the satellite office in Fallbrook for Northern San Diego County residents. But it's, I don't know. I don't have any one answer what that looks like. For a while, the doctors' offices thought maybe it was later stage because people had put off their screenings during COVID. They weren't able to get in to get their screenings.
Right.
So breast and colon and
Ah,
prostate.
okay.
So
That would make sense.
that one does make sense. But why younger and why later stage? Why so many, right? And so then there's a conversation around just the stress of COVID and what life has been like for the last 3 years. Stress is linked to certain types of cancer and could, be a factor of more cancers. But again, no one's going to know this for years because they're just working on it now. This is just us talking shop.
Right.
Why? And is it going to trend this way? Because that's the scary part for us. And in January last year, is when the trend started increasing significantly, because we are averaging about 45 to 49 new cancer patients a month.
Okay.
And we were trending 74. So 74 new cancer patients were coming in, and we thought, how are we cannot maintain this. Yeah, we can't possibly maintain this here. I mean, we can't. And so it happened for a few months and then went back down a little bit, but we're basically trending around the 60s right now. New cancer patients. That's not the people that come to us on, for all of our other programs and things. It's new cancer diagnosis in the center.
What's typically the length of time somebody stays in your care?
Yeah, typically 4 to 6 months. And that's a typical treatment plan for standard care, for standard cancer care. And I hate putting anything around saying standard, but that's pretty much how that goes. We'd like them to come when they first get diagnosed, so we can just walk them through and we try to eliminate as much of that fear and that unknown in the beginning as possible. And then they start getting a little more comfortable in their treatment plans. They need us a little bit less. So maybe they'll start coming to some classes and things on their own, but not needing the one-on-one so much as they once did. The metastatic clients, of course, they are with us for years. I mean, years. Their families become part of our family and they utilize our resources on a regular basis. And obviously there's a lot more touch with them because they're dealing with cancer for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. How do people know when to come and say hello to you? It's like, and how do they pay for the services?
So everything at Michelle's Place is free. Everything that all our classes, our transportation, our financial assistance, everything is free at Michelle's Place. So there's no cost. We get primary referrals come from their oncologists, so the oncology offices.
Okay, so you're funded through insurance? No?
Nope.
So how are you?
Thanks for asking. Great question. Because we're a 501c3, obviously we get donations, but our funding is pretty equally split right now. A third is private donations, a third is from fundraising events, and a third is from grant writing.
Okay. That's the hard road.
Yeah, it is the hard every day. Every day we're pounding the pavement for sure. But we also have 123 volunteers that work for Michelle's Place.
Okay.
And that's 32 of them are facilitating our classes. So our art class, our yoga, our Tai Chi, our support groups is all volunteer.
Interesting. What are the top 3 things that you're looking for right now? Money's
always going to be at the top. Until we have a fully funded endowment, financial help is always number one. We're always looking for volunteers because, again, we're reliant to run our center off of volunteers.
So if somebody wants to volunteer, let me see if I can find, you have volunteer. Okay, so I'll pull that up on your website.
Yeah.
And I'll share that.
Yep, you can share that. That has Regina's information. She's our volunteer coordinator. I think the volunteer, sign up to volunteer. There's probably a volunteer application on there as well.
My computer's running slow.
So, yeah, mine too. I thought it was me.
Yeah, probably me. So, okay, so you've got volunteers. Oh, there we go. So working to assist clients with their support needs, and then attend health fairs, visit local businesses, distribute materials, and then encouragement calls to individuals.
Yeah.
Lots to do.
Oh my gosh, we have so many things. So always looking for volunteers to
Yeah.
help. And you don't have to be a survivor to volunteer. Just care.
Just care.
Just
That's
care.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I do 5 things now with my, I had a health issue about 2 years ago, and I had to make some changes. So I changed my diet plan, and I exercise regularly now. I meditate. I get 8 hours of sleep, try to. That's the goal. And then I have the 5th thing is community service. And so
Nice.
my community service right now is this video podcast, working
Excellent.
with local, primarily Temecula Valley leaders, and working with Temecula Valley leaders to inspire other leaders.
That's great.
So,
I love it.
yeah, and so I want to get the word out about Michelle's Place through this little video podcast, and get to meet you. So I figure, when people get to know you, people do business and have, relationships with people they know, like, and trust.
Right.
And there's no real commercial way to pay for a 30-minute chat
Right.
like this, to get to know Kim, and Michelle's Place in
Yeah.
this kind of way. So at least I'm hoping that this will help.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, wow, my pleasure. I'm really pleased that we could take the time. But that's my vision with this. And gosh, it's gone really quickly. I wanted to ask you one more question. We have time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. What I wanted to ask you is, I know you make decisions. You've been making decisions for a long time, different ones. And I wanted to ask you, what was the boldest decision that you made
Oh,
over
that's
the
easy.
last 20 years, or maybe before that? And
No,
what were the consequences of that?
So the boldest decision was to buy this building and accept this business plan. So brief history is, we were in 3,200 square feet. We knew we needed to expand. Our lease was coming up. And so it's
That's
either
a 200% increase.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And it's even worse because we thought the board made a decision, okay, we're going to do a capital campaign and we want to buy a building, because we thought, what's big, right? Where do we go from here? What's big enough, especially if we're going to serve all cancers?
So they already think it's too small, right?
Right. And we don't know. We don't even know what that looks like. And so we thought, okay, instead of renting another space, it's going to cost a lot. Let's look into having capital campaign. We'll put off the all cancers for a while. We'll sign, if we can get a 2-year lease on our existing location, and raise money and buy a building. Well, of course, no sooner does that come out of our mouth and does the board vote to do that I get approached by one of our supporters. He says, Kim, I've got a great location. You'll love it. You got to come see it. And I said, I don't have $5 for a building. I don't want to see anything that I can't buy right now, right? Especially if I like it. So he brings me here, and it was Faith Armory, huge, 10,000 square feet. But not only is it 10,000 square foot of space that we would occupy, but it's the rest of the shopping center. So it's a small strip mall in here. So the idea behind it would be, we'd purchase the building, those renters, those tenants would pay our mortgage. And so, and of course, a nonprofit doesn't pay property tax on the space they occupy, they pay their own. So it's a beautiful business plan on paper. But when you are trying to raise money every single day just to provide the resources you provide, you want me to also raise $1.2 million to buy a building. So huge risk. Huge. I mean, back and forth. Board members were I did not have 100% support from my board. It was a huge risk. I mean,
was this your idea to buy the building?
It was the person who had come to me. It was his idea.
Okay, but you were championing it. Championing. Easy for me to say. Championing.
Yeah. So it wasn't my idea. It was just, I was driving it, and it wasn't even me driving it. I mean, honestly, I told you, I talked to Michelle all the time, and I was like, this is going to be huge on me. This is all on me. Although it's not, right? It's community, it's board, it's volunteers, it's all these people. But at the end of the day, it's still me. It still falls back on me. And so I kept trying to push it away, and all these things kept falling in my lap that were pushing me towards the decision. And one of those was the owner of this complex. He'd owned it for a very, very long time, and he was ready to get out. He lived in Orange County. Now he's retired. He didn't want it anymore, so he's going to sell it for a good price, and he was going to let us occupy this space for 50 cents a square foot while we were raising the money. So I mean, heck of a bargain, right? So I moved forward. We moved forward, and we did it. And we raised $1.2 million in 9 months and bought the building.
Wow.
And then we had to raise money to do the construction on the inside, because we lived in a open cement construction
Right. Yeah,
zone
you got to do all the
for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it thank God it worked out. And now the tenants are it's fully occupied, and they are paying our mortgage, which is fantastic. And we do have a 10,000 square foot gorgeous space for cancer patients to receive all the resources they need. So it worked out, but it was a really tough couple of years there, for sure. Not something I would do again, for sure.
Okay.
Almost killed me and my family.
So what was your biggest takeaway from that as a leader?
Yeah, as a leader, I had quite a few takeaways. It was actually, as exciting as it was, I was really excited to do it. And there were some really amazing moments, a lot of amazing moments, honestly, in the community, talking to people, hearing their stories, wanting to be part of this. And you'll have to come for a tour, because my tours is fairly extensive, because there's a story behind every wall, every nail, every light, every piece of tile is a story, because there are so many people that are involved in this space, in building the construction, to making the initial donation, to just saying, most of our donors wrote on the walls before the drywall was up, so that people are inside this building.
That's
and
cool.
There's just the first aha moment for me was, because I'm not sure this is what we need to do. We came in here, we swept the floor, we made spaghetti, and we had some donated wine, and we had a little stage, and I invited everybody and anybody who's ever been a part of Michelle's Place in the history of the world. And so come to this event. I want to tell you some news. I want to see what you think. We stood up there, we told some stories, and I said, do you want to help us build the region's only cancer resource center? And we raised $165,000 that night without selling anything. And more than 40% of the money was in pledges, which means people didn't have the money to give me that night, but they were willing to make payments to make it happen. And I just cried. I cried the next morning when we were cleaning up, because I thought, they want this. This is necessary in our community. And they're standing behind me and pushing it to happen. And then they were. It's story after story of people who did that for us. And so it really is a community center. It's not built by any one person. It wasn't my decision. It wasn't funded by any one person or thing or entity. It's absolutely built by our community. It made me love it here even more. Because from that experience and the heartache, and there's a lot of tears and a lot of trepidation and fear, and to call some of these people and just say, I don't think this is going to happen. I honestly just don't know that I can do this, or that it's going to. And always, always, always it was, yes, it's going to happen. We're going to do it. Who can I call? What can I do? Whose door can I, knock on? You need tile, you need flooring, you need nails, you need drywall. I know a guy. I got a guy. And so it was really beautiful, really beautiful.
Oh, so nice. Oh, I think let's end with that.
Yeah, good. It's a good ending.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ending. I definitely love your stories. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Sure.
And, looking forward to publishing this wonderful session with you.
Me too. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.